Hi besties, here is reviews on everything I read within the past week and a half. I am going to also include the audiobook I listened to today. It was The Gift by Frida McFadden. I gave it 3 stars. It's a novella. I listened to it in like 30 minutes because I listened to my audiobooks at 2x speed. It's not crazy. But yeah, I gave it 3 stars. The ending, ooh, I had my jaw on the floor. For just such a quick, small novella, I was like, damn. But it was pretty entertaining. It follows this couple. The girl is currently like working like 2 jobs, and her husband is going to school for something. And so on Christmas Day, she like realizes she hasn't bought him a gift, and she sees like this old lady in her diner, which is her second job, and the lady appears to be dead. So she's like waking her. She's like, "Hey, ma'am," and like her coworker, who's also a waitress, like tries to like grab her purse to see if she has like ID or something. Mind you, I'm thinking like, girl, check her fucking pulse. Like, I was like, why is nobody checking her pulse? And like this lady has like a Russian accent. She's like Russian or something. Anyway, so she's like, she's like, I heard you had a problem. The Russian lady, she's like, I heard you had a problem, but she's like, I can help you if you come to my shop. And I was like, girl, no. But she goes to her shop, she trades in something for a gift for her husband, and it doesn't turn out well for anybody. So yeah, it was definitely interesting for such a quick little thing. So if you need like a quick thriller for Christmas next year, there you go. And then before that, my physical books, I listened to All I Want Is You by Fallon Ballard. This is like a second chance romance. It follows 2 people who they dated a few years back. They are both authors. They're signed at the same company. And they dated when they were first starting out their careers, like finishing up school and stuff. And then the male main character, he ended things abruptly, let me say. And so obviously years later, he's kind of being very successful, and she's kind of not getting too lucky in her field yet. But the company that they work for hosts like yearly awards and stuff. He was getting an award for something, and she had to be the one to present it, is basically what I'm trying to say. And so obviously she's like, well, fuck me and fuck y'all. I'm not doing that. Her friends and her like agent, they were like, this is going to be good publicity for you. Like, this is going to get your name even more out there. Like, do it. And she was like, okay, whatever. So obviously she does the thing. She's like, puts her game face on, and she does what she needs to do. And this event is being hosted in like this hotel out in like, I don't want to say, it's kind of more outside of town or whatever. And all of a sudden that same night, a huge snowstorm hits the area. So like snow everywhere, packed. Like, you cannot, these people literally don't leave this hotel for almost several days, I want to say. And so she goes to check in after the event, because she didn't get a chance to when she got there. And he was checking in at the same time too. And come to find out that her reservation wasn't saved, and like obviously every room possible is fully booked, and she can't leave. So she's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? And then he overhears, and he's like, come sleep in my room for the night. And yeah, it was definitely interesting. I'm not a fan of second chances. I'm so sorry. I know it's fiction. I know it's vague. I hate second chances. It's funny how people interpret books differently. People love second chances. So if you love second chances and a cute little, what's it called? Christmas romance, you would like it. I personally gave this 3 stars, or 3.25. It wasn't a bad book. I just personally am not a fan of second chances. I take that shit personal. And like his reasoning for ending things was kind of fucked up. I'm not a forgiving person, you know? So I was like, bitch, absolutely not. If it was me, no. But it was cute nonetheless, and I was entertained. It was for the Christmas vibes, the Christmas spirits. So if you want a cute little Christmas second chance romance, here you go. I also listened to Make My Wish Come True by Rachel Lippincott and Allison Derrick. This is a sapphic YA romance, and it was so cute. Oh, I loved this one. I gave it 4 stars. 4 stars, yeah. And this follows 2 girls named Arden and Caroline. They're like 18, 19, about to graduate high school. And they were best friends, of course, growing up in their small little town. It's small town vibes, sapphic, ooh, cutesies. And Arden ended up getting an opportunity to become an actress. And so she moves to LA at a very young age, like 14. And at 16, she gets emancipated from family. And now at 18, she has like this image that her agent and like the media portrays her. And so like obviously throughout these years, her and Caroline, like they stopped talking. Like that was the last time she ever saw each other. And Caroline had a massive crush on her. She was her first crush. So 4 years later, Arden is wanting this big role to change like her image and stuff. And her agent comes up with this idea to not only sell Arden to the director to get the part, but her agent ends up putting her in a position that she is fake dating Caroline, her lifelong childhood best friend in her small town. And Arden was like, I haven't talked to her in years. And so it's Christmas time. And so she comes back 4 years later to their hometown, and she finally sees Caroline. And Caroline's, lived her life. She's doing her own thing. She's studying for school. She's wanting to go to Columbia, and she's like an aspiring journalist. She wants to do that. So she, getting applications to colleges ready and all that stuff. And then Arden pops up, and she thinks, she's like, what the fuck are you doing here? And Arden was like, how would you like to be my fake girlfriend? And Caroline was like, absolutely not. An article is supposed to be made while she's there, like her time there and all that stuff. And she was like, listen, if you do this for me, I will have like this big ass magazine, literally like have you write up the article for this, and it'll be great for your college portfolio, blah, blah, blah. And then she's like, okay, I guess, I literally just want it so I can get into college. And for such a cute little book, it had a really good plot, and I really, really enjoyed it. It had a lot of character buildup and growth between the both of them, especially Arden, because she's a young girl, and she, had this image built for her instead of allowing herself to grow into the person she wants to be or portray and all that stuff. Unfortunately, she was manipulated and stuff at a young age. And it was just a really lovely story. I really liked it a lot. And I love the cute little romance. So I definitely recommend if you need a sapphic little small town vibe romance. Another one I listened to is Such a Quiet Place by Megan Miranda. While I was building my tree, I realized I have so many Megan Miranda books, but this is the first one I've ever read. Her covers just catch me. I have so many of them, and I was like, damn, I have a fucking shit ton of Megan Miranda books. I've not read a single one until now. How crazy is that? And I gave this one 4 stars, I want to say, 4.25. And I gave this one 4.25 stars. This was kind of crazy. For my first Megan Miranda, I really enjoyed it. So this follows people, a bunch of people in a cute little cul-de-sac. Several years ago, a death occurred. One of the people living in that cul-de-sac was sent to prison for it. And a lot of people, they provided, you know, receipts for things, and then years later she's released and let out and stuff, and so she comes back to where she lived. The girl who was accused of the unalivings, her name is Ruby, and the girl that she used to live with, her name is Harper, who lives in that cul-de-sac still. So Ruby comes back, and she obviously goes back to the home that she lived in, and Harper's like, girl, what are you doing here? And the whole neighborhood is like, what's going on? So the whole time she's back, she's, you know, going to meetings with her lawyer and all this other stuff, and everybody is like freaked out and like watching her every single move. And then another unalive occurs, and obviously the town is like freaked out. This little area is freaked out. Everybody's getting like notes of things that they've kept secret. And Harper is like, I need to do something about this. Like, I need to do something before anybody else gets hurt. And so she does her own little investigation and starts learning the truth about things. And all I need to know is people need to stay the fuck out of people's business and not lie about the shit that they do for like no reason. Because some of the stuff I was like, y'all could have easily fixed this with a conversation. But that's none of my problem. That's none of my business. I was eating this up. It was like a cute little drama in my head, and I really liked it. And I honestly am excited to read all of her other books that I have. So it definitely had a very much slower pace, I will state. So a few times I was like, I'm getting a little bored, but then it started to pick up, and then it would go slow. So it's kind of like a little wave. So nonetheless, I enjoyed it, and the ending, like, I was kind of shocked, but it wasn't like a huge twist. So, but I still recommend. And then another one I listened to was Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. I feel like this is such a classic. Like, everybody and their mom has listened to this or read this or whatever the case may be. And I'm the last person on earth to read it, probably. No, I'm just kidding. I gave this 4.5 stars. I know this is a thriller, but it was definitely, I would say, more psychological. Because this book had me trusting the wrong person. And when it has me trusting the wrong person, it was good. It was good. I ate this book up. It follows this couple, and the male main character, he has like this, I don't even know what to call it, this visual problem where he literally can't recognize faces. Like, he just sees a blurry thing. And so, like, a lot of the times he doesn't recognize his own wife, but the only way he knows, you know, he can tell it's her is, you know, by her scent, by the way she talks or whatever, feel her hair, stuff like that. So like, he's aware of that, but the faces he just can't recognize. He can be in a room full of people and not recognize a single person. Like, it's just not there. So he's also an author, a writer, and he has done a lot of like writing for a bunch of people. He's been very busy. He's a workaholic, and like, she works at a vet, and so she's like getting to a point in their marriage. It's been like years of him, like, yes, she's grateful for the life they've had, but now they don't have kids, and he's just working nonstop, and he's been really stressed, and they've kind of like, she can tell there's a shift. So she puts her name in this raffle and wins a secluded trip to Scotland. And it's like this abandoned little area. It looks abandoned is what they said in the book, but it's like a Airbnb type of house is what she was told and stuff like that. So she was like, no phones, no writing, it's just us. She's like wanting to rekindle things, and there's a lot of secrets between the two, and one knows a lot of stuff than the other. And one of them is either going to make it alive or neither of them are, because somebody is out there to make sure they don't go home. So, to say the least, I was very, very intrigued throughout this whole thing. And the way it was set up was insane. When I say it had me thinking about a whole nother person than it did, this was wild. It was so good. I need to read more of Alice Feeney's books because psychological thrillers are my favorites. They don't even have to have a huge twist in them per se. Like, it wasn't a huge twist, but like just the whole psychological buildup of it, that is what gets me. That is what gets me. Like, don't get me wrong, I love my fun little thrillers, but the psychological, if it can mentally fuck me up and get me thinking, I say this as somebody who's like not an intense critical thinker and someone who doesn't like intricate wordy books. Like, respectfully, I don't think I'll ever read Babel. I'm not smart enough for that book. So when I say I like when they get me thinking, I like murder. I'm not saying there's murder in this book, but just, you know, when somebody's doing something they shouldn't, or whatever the case may be in a thriller book, a psychological thriller book, I eat it up. I'll sit and listen or read it. Those get my brain going because I'm like piecing the puzzles together. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Anyway, and then I did it. I finally did it. I did the immersive read for Fourth Wing. I was genuinely so scared that I was not going to like this book once I get to it. I've had this on my physical TBR shelf for a year. Yeah. She's been collecting Death Spectre. But it's fine. It's fine. I finally read it. I was like, it's time. I think I'm mentally ready for it. That's the problem I have as like a moodish reader. I have to be mentally prepared to get into a book. If it's going to be a fantasy or anything intricate or wordy or like historical fiction, blah, blah. Nonetheless, I was like, I'm ready. Hit me with it. And I gave it 5 stars. Who's surprised? Nobody, because everybody and their mother has read this and have loved it. But nonetheless, I also tabbed along to as I listened to it. I listened to the graphic audio. Y'all better keep headphones on when you're listening to that shit. Woo! Anyways, I listened and I followed along because I found immersive reading, especially in my fantasies, it's a new level. Like, it brings it to life. It brings the story to life for me. And I can follow along and underline. Like, obviously, when I'm physically reading, I'm reading and doing what I need to do. But for fantasies, I still struggle. I still struggle with understanding, like, the whole thing. But whatever it is, I also found out that people, like, have that voice, I guess you want to call it, in their head. And my voice is myself. I don't talk too fast. So, like, if I'm reading a book, I either have to, like, use my eyes to just look at the word, but it's not connecting when I don't, like, actually, like, quote unquote, say it out loud in my head, if that makes sense. So in my head, it's me talking, and, like, I read slow at that point, and, like, I'm not saying I want to just get through my book fast, but then I just start to lose interest if I'm taking too long in a book. So with that being said, I use audiobooks to either listen to. I'm not saying I've never physically read a book. There are plenty of books that I physically read. It's usually thrillers because they keep me in it. So I'm physically reading it and I'm interested in staying in it. But for the most part, I definitely lean more towards audiobooks on that end, just because I'm mentally ill. I don't know what to say. But but when I was following along, it was like a movie. It was like a movie in my head as I'm reading and underlining and notes, and I wasn't making notes. What am I talking about? I was just like, bitch, what the fuck? So I was annotating, but For my fantasy books, I use pencil. I don't use like highlighters, markers, or any of that in my fantasy books. I cried, I laughed, I did all the things. I did a little vlog of it while I was reading it on TikTok, and at the end I was like, fuck you bitches, fuck you bitches. Because I had asked everybody a question and I told them, you know what, I was like, don't spoil anything for me, this is the first time I'm reading this. And once I announced it, and then towards like middle end, I stopped listening to it because I was like, I unintentionally spoiled something for me, possibly. Because a video popped up and it said something, and I was like, wait, is this a lie? Like, is this a lie? And then I went to my TikTok story and I was like, guys, is this true? Does this happen? Nobody answered. They were just like, girl, keep reading. And I was like, somebody tell me yes or no. And then I told myself it's not true. I told myself it's not true. And then I got to the end and it was fucking true. And I was like, you bitches saw me having a mental panic attack, having a breakdown about this. And nobody said a word. Nobody said a word. I'm not going to say what this book is about. I feel like everybody knows what this book is about. It's got dragons. It's got fucking American Ninja Warrior in this bitch. I don't even know. Like, I was like, this is crazy, but I loved it. And I am now in a reading slump because of it. I have Iron Flame and I really want to jump into that, but I made a physical TBR for my December reads, and I was going to start Quicksilver. I got like a couple of chapters in, and then I had to close it because I just kept thinking about what the fuck happened in Fourth Wing. And I tried to read like other books in the lineup that I have, and I lost all interest in life at that point. So for like the past several days, because I finished this like, when did I finish this? Oh shit, I finished this like almost a week, almost 10 days ago at this point. So yeah, that has been great for me. Those ones are what I read after this. So like I was in between those. So I was like, let me finish these out. And so yeah, I definitely haven't really had the urge to read anything else. Ugh, I hate being in a slump. But anyway, that's where I'm at mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And yeah, I have nothing else to say, but those are all the books that I've kind of read within the past 2-ish weeks and what I thought about them. I, of course, recommend every single one. I'm never going to tell somebody to never read a book. So go read a book, even if it's not one of these. I love you.